everyone. Welcome to our special happy hour session, Sips of Success, where we raise a glass of innovation. My name is Mary Lou Haster. I am your host for this evening's event. I'm super excited to be here with all of you today. It's been an amazing first day. Honored to wind down the day with some very special guests. Sips and Success is all about celebrating our dealer partners and all the clever ways in which they've configured Automotive Retail Cloud to gain big wins in their dealership. So the way this is going to work, it's a fun interactive session. I'm going to call anywhere from 1 to 3 presenters on the stage, walk through some really clever configuration process in which they've seen a lot of really big wins, whether it's streamlined process, improved profitability, and so on. So our first presenter, Austin Conroy from Mormon Auto Group. Austin, what are you going to show us today?
Yeah, so I'm going to show a special order parts process that we developed around the Tekion tool. First of all, I don't know if any of the engineering team is here. Thank you so much for allowing us to customize this tool however we want to do it. There's so many different options that we can do with this. So I'm going to show you, kind of want to take you through our process before. I'm a little embarrassed to admit it. Unfortunately, if we would have a special order part come in, there would be a slip of paper that the parts department would bring up to a service advisor, and then that's how the service advisor knew the part in. Then we had to rely on the service advisor to call the customer, which we know how busy they are. They say, oh, we'll get to it later, we'll call them later. And then, we have tons of parts on the shelves. We're like, we ordered this 3 months ago, and now it's going to be obsolete. We got to use our return credits for this. Things are stacking up back here. So what we did when we got on the Tekion tool, we were able to customize. So the screen that you're seeing here, this is live action of one of our stores. And what we have here is the special order request screen. So we give access to the parts counter people as well as the service advisors, managers, parts managers to this screen. So we're managing all of our special order parts off of one screen. So I want to show you a couple of highlights of this. First of all, you're going to have a status. One of the things I love about Tekion throughout a lot of the screens, you're going to have this notepad. So when it has a little blue button, the employees are going to be able to put notes in here about that particular item. But what really got cool with this was the ability to customize the flags. So each special order part, we assigned a flag. So are we awaiting an appointment? Are the parts partially received? Is it out for paint? Is it back ordered? Are we getting an alternative part ordered? And then the green one is, do we actually have an appointment? So what it allows our team to do on one screen to be able to dial in here and not only hold the service department accountable, but also the parts department accountable for the communication around the special order parts process. The other cool part about the Tekion tool, if I just click into one of these random ones here, and I go down, you can see down here at the bottom, the parts department can actually click a button to send an email or a text message to the customer. So what was really cool, our old process, what didn't work was the parts department, once they handed that piece of paper off, it was out of their hands. They just saw it piling up on the shelves and customers not coming in. But now they can actually take ownership of this process and go in and actually text the customer from the screen. The other really cool part, when that special order part comes in, if they scan it, we can automatically notify the customer, the advisor, and the technician that part is there. So what this really has led us to do, there's a reason they're special order parts, because we don't normally stock them. So these are parts that can go to obsolescence. They are going to have to write off, or we are going to have return credits for. So by managing everything off this screen and increasing the communication, we've cut our obsolescence basically down to 0. It also improves our customer service because customers are actually getting notified. They don't have to call into the store, saying, hey, where are my parts at? Oh, they've been here for 2 weeks. Sorry, nobody got a hold of you. So it's really done a lot in terms of that special order parts process for us.
Awesome. So you mentioned customer satisfaction has improved.
Yeah.
Can you share any more details as far as CSI scores or anything like that?
Yeah, I think anytime you go to a dealership and you need a repair done and they don't have the part in stock, it's kind of a question for the customer to begin with, right? And we say, hey, most of the things we can get the next day or in 2 days, we'll give you a call. Well, what happens when a week passes and that advisor forgot to call off of that piece of paper, or it got slipped under their desk, or, the BDC agent only did one attempt at the customer, right? Then the customer is calling back into the store saying, hey, I was in there a week ago and I ordered the part. Maybe they even prepaid for the part. Surely it's here by now, right? And it's, oh yeah, it is, right? So it makes us look really unprofessional, and it's not a good way to serve the customer.
Awesome. Anything else any other improvements from a group level?
Yeah, I mean, I would say just, especially with this process and then other ones, just being able to break the barrier down between service and parts has been really huge. So just the communication that you have with the different notes that are in here and the different flag colors, being able to customize really for your needs and for your processes, I think has really helped increase the communication between, make it really a fixed ops department. So it's not service and parts anymore. It truly is a fixed operations.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Our next presenter, Nick Ruffalo. Come on down. Nick, what are you going to be showing us today?
So we were just talking about fixed operations, and we all understand the importance when it comes down to used car reconditioning. So whether this was an acquisition that took place as a purchase, if it was a KBB buy off the street, or if it was a trade-in, at the end of the day, we got to get our cars through the shop in a timely fashion. Within the Tekion portal, you can actually write a repair order on multiple cars all at one time right from your vehicle inventory screen. So what I have here is our vehicle inventory screen. You can see where you have one that's located with a PO, another one with an RO, and so forth. But rather than going back to the old style of doing things where we're waiting for a get ready to come through or an email sent from the used car manager to the reconditioning manager to go ahead and perform the multi-point inspection or the used car inspection, you can now go right to the vehicle inventory screen. It's going to tell you whether or not an RO has been generated or if there's one also open on that particular unit. So from your vehicle inventory screen, your used car reconditioning manager, your service manager, whoever you have writing up these tickets, you can select what cars that need to come in for a used car inspection. And prior to coming to this screen, depending on what your setups and how you want your used cars to be written up, you could automatically include a certain opcode. So whether if your UCI is on a CPO, all your certified vehicles, most of our stores, we replace the wiper blades, the cabin filter, and the air filter, and so on and so forth. Rather than adding all those opcodes, you can have it set up in your vehicle check-in screen, and when you go ahead and type in the CPO opcode or UCI opcode, all of those are going to be attached to it. And if I could just get this, there we go. So if we were going to write these up and just say these came in and they needed to be pushed into the service department, just go right here to bulk action and create your repair order. And from here, this particular car, this store here, our Volkswagen store, we have already opcodes you can see listed right here that are already included with the used car inspection. And if there's any notes that you want to put in there, you could go right ahead. As soon as I hit create RO, all 3 ROs are going to be written at the same time. I can assign it to my specific used car technician, which most of my stores all have anywhere between 1 to 3 used car technicians that solely work on used cars to speed up that process and get those cars frontline ready as fast as possible. The next part is when you're done, you can close them all out at the same time as well. So what we noticed was a faster turnaround time to get these cars ready back to detail, front time to line. Most of our stores, they were more north of double digits when it came down to used car recon. Currently right now, the 11 stores in the Chicagoland market underneath my belt is at 4.6 days. So nice. Cars are back to frontline ready. Our teammates on the other end, on the variable side, like Austin was saying from before, we knocked down those silos and we're working together and we became a lot more efficient.
That's excellent. Anything else you'd like to add?
Oh, it's pretty simple. Again, anything with tech question. Oh, yeah, let's go. Okay. Come on, Joey.
Your used car managers, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do they like the transparency? They're able to log in and see everything, I'm assuming?
Absolutely. Yeah. So they're seeing what's going on with it. The same token, if you wanted to, in that RO, you could go to the notes section, Joe, and I could leave notes inside on that specific car as well to tell the used car manager, the general manager, where we're at in the step on the used car reconditioning.
Now, are you using the check-in stuff to text them so they can approve stuff over there?
100%, yes.
Right?
So as soon as an ASR or additional service request comes through, the used car manager or the operating manager that authorizes the used car repairs will be notified as well.
Isn't that wild? Are your used car managers at an auction and he's there approving repairs on a car that he's bought?
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
No difference. You could set this up for your new cars as well. So if you preload some of your new cars with door edge guards or mud flaps or winter floor mats, you want operation codes attached to your PDI op code, you could do the same thing just like you do with your used. That's all I got.
All right. Thank you so much, Nick. So coincidentally, our next presenter, Joe Castellino. Joe, what are you going to show us today?
I'm going to show you guys 95.5, right? So where are my GM dealers at? Oh, there you guys go. You guys know 95.5. It's a big objective, right? And so our store was at 73.2 or something like that, and went to 93.8 in a week. Now, obviously, we weren't passing that, but for those of you guys who don't know what 95.5 is General Motors has an objective that 95% of their cars are fixed within 5 days or less. And so we were able to build full visibility for this process to like transactional, meaning I could see it live, where in some of the other technologies we would use, the data is a day old, and we couldn't really do anything about this. So I'll just show you what we got going on in our store. So right now, this is 95.5 warranty, and this is what GM is really, really strict on here in California, newest to oldest. And you can scroll all the way to the bottom. Now, here, at least we have this transparency where on the 5th day, I don't have this guy started. That's a problem, right? Like now I've got this transparency that I can actually do something with about this. Now, what I like about this screen here is it gives me full visibility of everything that's going on and why. So right now, I can tell you, and this is live store data, that I don't have parts for this ticket. I don't have parts for this ticket. I don't have parts for those 2 tickets. The issue I have is that my parts manager doesn't know he needs to get parts for those, right? So what needs to actually happen, and you'll watch this tab live, right? And this is a live store. We're watching Fresno, California. 95.5 warranty. It's at 35 tickets, right? I'm going to go jump into this, go here, put it on hold for parts. And what instantly happens is when I go back here, my 35 should be 34 and my parts on order go to 12, right? Like it's alerted my parts manager. And so through this, my parts manager has the screen that here. So he now knows, hey, I've got to pay attention to these cars. I've got to order these things. And when you get down to it, like the Rohrman Group does, you put our own notes. I 100% know we can't get this part, right? Like this car's been here live at my for 239 days. We've been waiting for that part. But what about the part that's there on 4 days, right? Or the 5th day? If we can source that part locally, if we could call another dealer, if we could do anything, right? Just by alerting the parts manager and making the right people aware of it, they are able to cater to that customer and get that within the 95.5.
Awesome. And this is for warranty. What about customer pay?
Okay, so we're actually, if I scroll down here, we just started this for customer pay. And GM, I believe, is now pushing that throughout the country. So
obviously this is a requirement for General Motors, but what about dealerships that sell other brands? Would this be helpful for them as well?
We're starting it at our Toyota franchises because there's no bad practice here, right? Like 95.5, why wouldn't we want 95% of our cars fixed in 5 days or less, right? Now you got to take into consideration the 238-day car. Okay, it happens. But if I could pay attention and get people's cars faster to them, what does that do for my retention? What does that do for my gross? What does that do for everything else that I'm doing in business, right? It gives you that great experience.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. Hi, Andrew.
Hey.
Andrew, what do you do here at Tekion?
I'm one of Tekion's analytic managers.
Awesome.
Yeah, I work for Nick Roberts. We've got Chris Upright and Jen Bishop.
Excellent. Well, thank you. So Andrew is going to do us an assist for the next 2 presentations. So I would like to call up Chad Johnson, CFO for Autobahn Fourth Worth.
I wanted you to talk a little bit about your visibility that's been created using the advanced analytics. And I'll let you talk for a second, and then we'll show the folks exactly what you do.
Okay. So our setup at Autobahn is a multi-store group and a centralized business office. So you have a lot of communication issues. And so one of the big advantages in Tekion is the ability to see notes throughout the system. So you can put notes in one place and you can see them everywhere else. So that's been a huge help in us in managing our receivables, collecting cash, and getting a better utilization of our assets.
Let me scroll over to your store, Chad, and we'll take a look at that first widget that we talk about all the time in the executive dashboard, and the widget lives on the service dashboard as well, and that's the OpenRO widget.
Yeah, so we do weekly meetings to go through these to kind of asset management meetings, and one of the first things we look at is our Open RO report. And so you can drill down into those Open ROs, and you can get a list of the status on all of the Open ROs. And there's also notes that are entered into there that provide updates on why that is still open. And so that just keeps communication open and lets everyone know the status of those ROs. Also creates accountability for all of the advisors to make sure they keep their notes in the system as well.
And the notes do, as you mentioned before, go both ways. So I can enter a note here in analytics if I have a question for Mark as the service advisor, and then whatever the notes that Mark makes, you can see here as well.
Yeah, the notes are live on both sides. So Same with the sales. So if you put a note in a deal, it also shows up on a schedule. And here on the service side, it shows up in both places as well.
And we can really drill into those invoiced ROs that are so pesky, right? We want to get those closed before the end of the month. So I'll just go to RO status, deselect everything except for invoiced. And now I have really sharp stick to talk to my service manager about the $21,000 in gross profit that we have out there.
Yeah, so obviously, these are completed ROs. They're not booked, and so they're not showing up on the financial statement as gross. And then again, the note feature there, so you can see there's consistent utilization of the note feature to update everyone on the why those are still open.
Great. So you also like the deals not posted widget.
Yeah, so here, again, it's kind of the same thing. So there's deals that are booked in F&I, but not finalized in accounting. And that's another cash flow issue. And in this area here, you can drill down into those specific deals. And again, look at the notes feature for why those are not in accounting.
Just like that. And you do have the ability to click into the deal if changes need to be made. You can also see all the pertinent information, sales manager, gross, front gross, all that.
Yeah, that's another great benefit. Tekion is everything is linked together. So you don't have exit screens going to different screens. You can simply drill down and go directly to that deal or to the RO from the analytics platform.
Now on analytics, you spent a lot of time setting up, not too much time, doesn't take very long, but you've definitely taken advantage of the fact that this is totally customizable.
Yeah, so again, we go through this once a week just to keep track of all of our receivables. And to Andrew's point, on the left side are all the accounts, and you can pick and choose what accounts you want. You can pick and choose the buckets for what's acceptable, what's at risk, and what's overdue. And that's customizable by account. And then what we use it for is we drill down on the overdue items. And again, utilizing note feature.
CIT.
Yep. Utilizing the note feature there to keep track of what's going on a particular deal and why we're still waiting for money.
It's great. Chad, really appreciate you joining us for Sips of Success. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Chad.
Appreciate it.
All right, Chad, thank you so much. And Andrew, if you wouldn't mind just staying right there. And I'd like to introduce our next dealer presenter, Joshua Cleathermis. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for joining, Joshua. Joshua comes to us from Johnny Londoff. He's the IT director and wears many different hats, right?
Very true.
Been with Tekion for 3.5 years. Wonderful. And so you had an issue in your store with some discounting of ROs, and we needed to analyze what was going on, right? And so we used the RO analysis inside of Tekion Analytics, and I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, so it was more than just discounting. It was just manipulating the system beyond what they should have been doing. So as we started digging in, as we were reviewing everything, it really became apparent what was happening and them just trying to get around the system of showing a discount. And it really started to hurt us to the extent of about a 6-month period being around about $80,000 to $100,000 in gross profit. Wow. Which scared us, to be honest.
That'll raise some eyebrows.
Yes. So took about a 4-day period and got into RO analysis and really started digging in to what was going on. And one of the things that we did is as you can see up here, I know it can be kind of hard to see, but I was looking at, so I have a time period. This one is set to April 22. This was probably one of my worst months that we had. January and April of that year were our 2 worst months.
We sorted this one by build hours.
Yeah, we sorted this one by build hours. And then I've got a filter also set to only show our CPELR over $70. From there, I started looking into each of the ROs. And as you can see, this top one was one of my most concerning ones.
Perfect example.
This advisor had billed 25 hours on this ticket, and we had a effective labor rate on this ticket of $126 when our door rate was $170.
And that 6 jobs was also a red flag as well.
Yeah, the 6 jobs was a red flag to me as well. So what I would do is I clicked on this, and I'm looking, I'm like, okay, I see a water pump leaking. I see a timing chain job. Yes, I have a oil change on here, but that's not going to affect me that much. So what we did so on this ticket specifically, I went in and would drive into the ticket itself and look at what we wrote up on the ticket. And it became very apparent that what was happening. So our guys were changing the labor rate because we had it set up for ease of use in the system that they could set the labor rate to what they needed to for, extended warranty companies and the like, and they were abusing it.
Right.
So, or they were using if we had an employee come in that wanted special, we get special pricing, well, they were abusing that. So it became a major issue. Like I said, it was affecting us just gross profit-wise. But then we turned around and we had a discussion shortly after all my findings, and we were talking about our GM warranty rates. And, there's been a lot of legislation on that. And so we found out that we could, work with GM to get a rate increase. So the first time we talked to them about it, they were like, there's nothing we're going to be able to do. I mean, I wouldn't even consider it. So after all of our work that we did, getting everybody locked down, getting the system locked down tighter, going through everything, we wound up doing 2 rate increases from August of 22 to November of 23. And right now we went from 162 or 165 an hour and cost plus 40%. We are now at 183 an hour with cost plus 108%.
Wow.
On our GM warranty rates. So it really made a change. So not only did we prevent gross profit from disappearing just from what our advisors were doing, but we've gained gross profit from GM warranty work as well, which has been super helpful.
A couple of other things here, Josh. Same as we spoke about with Chad, the notes go from this widget also onto the RO, so you can communicate back and forth, right?
Yes, that is very true. So that was something else that we really lacked on is, as you can see, April 22. I have one RO with a note on it on this specific one. So, not knowing what was happening, all this kind of stuff. So, with the notes, I mean, if you look at our, if we go to today, I mean, if you don't see something with the note, it better be closed and be an oil change, or it better be something the most basic job, because
best practice is really 10 plus.
Yes.
If it's 10 plus days old, we better see a note.
Exactly.
What
I mean,
about
we're actually at probably about 3 to 4 days now. If you don't,
That's strong.
Yeah, we're really making some pushes on it. If it's sitting overnight, there better be something as to why it's sitting overnight, unless it just hasn't been dispatched because our shop's backed up.
The other column I thought I would point out to Josh is parts gross profit percentage.
Yes.
It's a great way to keep us honest and true to the matrix and making sure everything's getting parted out correctly.
Yeah, that was another thing we really took a look at, because that was one of the things that kind of brought our attention to it, is because we were seeing parts being, our parts gross profit was so low because of the way we had our labor pricing set up. Our advisors were given discounts on parts because they would change the labor price.
Right.
So since we found all this, we've cut all that out, and we literally they have to go to either myself or our CFO or our service manager There's very few people who can make that major change beside our parts department. So that's been very helpful, and it's definitely been noticed. And I know the advisors don't like it because they wind up having to fight with the customers a little more to get the job sold. But
Well, it's good work,
yes,
and this is great work, and we appreciate you joining us tonight, Josh. Thank
Greatly
you so
appreciate
much.
it.
Yep, Mary Lou.
Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you, Andrew. That concludes our happy hour presentation, Sips of Success. All of our dealer presenters will be sticking around the booth. So if you have any questions, want to chat with them, ask more details about what they showed, they're happy to share with you. And thank you all. Have a good night.